Whoa, is that the Toxic Teacher? I heard he had a podcast. What's it called? Oh, Dan with the most, gonna make the money. Goddamn, he's so funny. Toxic Teacher, camping that softly. He's easy to play every single fucking day. Toxic Teachers, camping that softly. Making money by being fucking funny. Toxic Teachers, camping that softly. Teaching fools, taking them to school. Toxic Teachers, camping them softly. Making money by being fucking funny. Toxic Teachers, camping them softly. Teaching fools, taking them to school. Toxic Teachers, camping them softly. Whoa. Survivors, get out of the way.
What's going down? Oh, I got something for you. Hang on one sec. Okay, my machine finally works. I have no clue what happened last time, but I wasn't able to get a single sound to work, and it looks like we are in business. Okay, there we go. So if that wasn't a great way to start off the show, what is? Now, I have very exciting news. This is our longest episode that we are going to have, and some of you listeners are like, oh, fuck, like I got to listen for over an hour. I don't know why you're listening in the first place. You could probably go stick your head and ass somewhere, both your head and your ass. You could stick it somewhere dark and cold and damp and not bring it out for any reason whatsoever. I don't know where I'm going with that, but I have fucking my thing. Okay, there we go. Okay, there we go. There was like some kind of a lag. I don't know what the fuck's happening here. So, a couple of big things we've got going on today. Behavior released the March 2024 update. This was March 28th, which was 2 days ago as of this recording. I checked it very briefly, but haven't looked way into it yet. So we're going to go through this live and see what's going on. After that, we have our first ever interview with one of our viewers, listeners. He found me on the podcast. He's come on the stream. His name is Old Town South, and this was a great interview. I learned a lot. We were off topic for about half the interview, and that's how I measured that interview was good, because we weren't even talking about DBD, which to some people is actually a welcome change. I know sometimes we get annoyed and we're like, fuck it, like this game is at times the best thing that's happened and also the worst thing that's happened. So it was really fun. I hope to do it again. So if you are in it for the update, you can find the timestamps. You can just move straight there, especially if you're one of his listeners. You probably don't like listening to me anyway, because I'm a fucking asshole and he is not. I love that works. So let's go into the March update. So from 2 days ago, it says spring has sprung, and so has a new developer update. In this post, we'll share everything we've been working on. As always, these changes will first head to the public test build on Steam. We encourage you to give them a try and let us know what you think. So, the big changes right here. What they call a major update, and they put a purple dot next to it. It's that big. Is an update to everybody's least favorite killer, the twins. Hang on, I need a different sound. That's my only gasping. I think I have a different one. Hang on. Okay, well, I don't know which one I like better for this, but the twins! Okay, let's try that one more time. The twins! I think that one. I think the second one. The twins! That's also pretty accurate for a lot of people. So anyway, here we go. There are 3 changes, and then there are 2 new items on the twins. So let's go over the changes first. First change reduce the time it takes to switch back to Charlotte to 1.5 seconds. It was 3 seconds. So actually switching back to Charlotte from Victor is now quicker. The second change, reduce the time it takes to unbind Victor to 0.75 seconds. It was 1 second. So now you can unbind him off of Charlotte faster. Third change, reduce the time it takes to charge Victor's pounce by 0.85 seconds. That was 1 second before. Now, let's think about this. This is actually some pretty good changes, I think. This is going to allow you to move back and forth, both as Charlotte and as Victor, and even the devs note that. And I'm going to go over the changes and then we'll get to the dev note. So the new things about the twins is that they added the ability to recall Victor at any point while he is unbound, to recall him, to bring him back. Also, they added the ability to change between Victor and Charlotte near a hooked survivor. And that's actually, they put a little asterisk next to that, because if you change from one to the other and leave the other one near the hook, that does bring up the anti-face camp meter. As we've said over and over and over again, it is a face camp meter. That's just you know what, that's it. That one's a laugh. This one's like, what is this one? Okay, that one's a bigger laugh. Okay, and there's my, yeah, okay. Anyway, so this is all very good in my opinion, because the twins have been one of the shittiest killers by far. People don't like playing as the killer. A lot of times, I don't know if people didn't like playing against the killer. I personally didn't mind. I thought it was fine. I did not mind playing against them, but I know a lot of people did. So, you know, to each his own on that, but I think this does make the killer a bit more viable. Another good thing, one of the changes that they list here, which I like, is they say Victor's pounce no longer latches onto healthy survivors. Meaning if a survivor is healthy and you lunge and you hit them, you don't then hang on, which is cool because then you can do multiple hits at once, right? You can jump, pounce, you hit them, jump, pounce, hit, jump, pounce, hit, which is really cool. I think that allows Victor to actually down a survivor on his own, which I think that's a neat change. So you know what, I dig it. I think that's a good change. I think overall the twins will be better on this. Now I'm going to go over some of the kind of minor updates, which get a yellow dot next to them. The first one being the Blight. The Blight got a collision detection update where he doesn't slide off as many objects. I don't play the Blight all that much. If you do, let me know. What do you think about this change? I'm sure it's probably good, but the thing is, a lot of people have probably mastered that slide and what objects can be slid and which ones can be slid. So you may have to, learn the new quirks, the ins and outs. So Haddonfield gets a green update, a medium update. Now, they reduce the overall size and they reduce the length of hedges and fences. Great idea on both sides, whether you're a survivor or killer. I think those long hedges were ridiculous. I do think the map is too big. It's just, it's way too big for what it is. With it being kind of vertical and large in terms of like horizontal space, I think it was a bit too much, and I am glad that they brought that down. Also, it looks like they also kind of made it a little bit more compact with more items, more loops and things like that in the street. I dig that as well, because when it was open space, depending on which killer you were, it could be very hard to catch up. So overall, pretty good. I dig that. I dig everything so far. Next one, Decisive Strike. They increase the duration of the stun on Decisive Strike. Also, and by the way, this is a yellow update. Also, they added a stabbing animation. Oh shit, I need to do it. They added a stabbing animation. There we go. That's pretty much all I got. Wait, they added a stabbing. Fuck, my buttons aren't working now. This is lag, this goddamn thing. Hang on, I got it. They added a stabbing animation. What? Oh, there we go. They added a stabbing fucking animation. There we go. Perfect. Now, it makes it more viable. The killer's going to be stunned 2 more seconds. Okay, great. The bad thing is the stabbing animation. Wait, the stabbing animation. That's about what I think of that, because that's going to be all over Facebook and TikTok and all that shit. These survivor mains are going to milk the stabbing animation. Stabbing! There we go. They are going to post that all over TikTok, especially if it looks cool. Facebook, they get a decisive strike. They're going to shit their pants. You know what else will make them shit their pants? There are actually 2 things. One of them made me shit my pants. One of them will make them shit their pants. Adrenaline got nerfed. Thank Jesus. Thank Jesus. I don't know why. I don't know why they fucking laugh before they clap. Anyway, adrenaline doesn't activate if you're hooked when the gates are powered. Amazing, amazing change. This needed to happen a long time ago. It makes no sense for it to activate if you're hooked. Also, they reduced the speed boost duration to 3 seconds from 5, so you don't run fast for as long as you did before. Also, you don't wake up when you're facing Freddy. Not a big deal. Who fucking cares anyway? Not a lot of people play Freddy. I'm sorry to Freddy mains from West Nusa Tenggara. I pushed the fucking... There it is. Okay, so yeah, not a big deal, but I do think that's a positive change for adrenaline. We'll see that one go down in usage. Thank God. And that was a medium update. To me, that's a huge update. The other big one, Ultimate Weapon. Now we know this, the Xeno perk, what it did was if you checked a locker, it would make them scream. It was good for any kind of interruption. There were certain killers that could use this to great effect. I found it worked very well with Dead Man's Switch. You hook somebody, you activate Ultimate Weapon, then you get near them, they scream, then the generator stops working. Now, what it does, the change, the green medium update change, now reveals survivors' aura instead of causing them to scream. There we go. That worked perfectly that time. I wasn't even trying for as dramatic of effect, but fine, whatever. So what it does, it reveals their aura. Number 2, it reduced its activation time to 15 seconds. So it's not 30 seconds that it's active. And then also the cooldown is 80, 70, 60 instead of 40, 35, 30. So you can't use it as much. The activation time, the time it's active is shorter, and now it doesn't cause people to scream, it just shows their aura. I'm not sure I like this too much. That's exactly right, survivor mains out there, now that my buttons fucking work. So yeah, it makes the perk less useful. Maybe it needed it. I doubt that it needed it. Last thing, the store got a major update. The emblems, now you can't lose a pip. Okay, big fucking deal. For the store, they updated the store so it looks like a store in every other game over the past 20 years. So I'll take that. You know, it's modern looking. Finally, we're here. Finally. Pushing the fucking button and there it goes. Okay, so there is that. That is the store updates. Overall, I think it's cool. I like some of the stuff. We got shit on. The killers got shit on in a couple of ways, right? We got the ultimate weapon nerf, which was fairly big. The survivors got some buffs. They also got a nerf, which was great. I won't even call it a nerf whenever survivors get it. I will call it a balance change. We're bringing things back into balance. Now, we go to our next big topic of the day. I know we're 15 minutes into this. We still haven't gotten into the biggest fucking thing, which is our first ever interview on Camping Them Softly. I know. Wait, let me see. What the fuck? Can we do this one? That one's perfect. I think this one works right here. Our first ever interview with our good friend, watcher of the podcast, and streamer himself. He is a streamer, and he's a great one at that. I love watching the guy. He came on the stream a while back. He actually, just came by and said, "Hey, I love your podcast. I stream as well. You talk about Deathslinger. I love Deathslinger. Why don't we do something together?" I said, let's make this happen. His name is Old Town South, and you can find him at old_town south. I dig this guy. He and we had a great time. I learned about this thing called magnet fishing. Had no clue what magnet fishing was. I know, I didn't know what it was. But this is so cool. I dig it. I am ready for some magnet fishing, I think. I'm going to spend the $79 it takes to go magnet fishing and make it happen. And if you don't know, apparently everybody else knew about magnet fishing before me. So I'm going to let you guys hear all about it in my exposure to the new hobby, my newest hobby. Actually, I don't know if I'm going to do it because I'm kind of scared, and you'll find out why. But without further ado, here is the first ever interview of the podcast, which obviously, I'm going to start with the compliment that he gives me. Anyway, here we go.
You're doing something good here, man. Please, I wanted to tell you, keep it up, man. I think right now you're like one of the only Dead by Daylight podcasts. And dude, if you keep pumping out the content, I think you're onto something here.
Well, and that's the funny thing is because I had, I'd looked some up online and I had found a couple that were still active. And there was one, I think it was called Spine Chill, that was really good. I thought it was good. They decided they weren't going to only do Dead by Daylight and they wanted to move on to other things because they were bored. And there was another one that I think was called I'm All Ears, which was really good. It was a couple of Fog Whispers, I think, did that one. And then it just died. So there was really not much else to listen to. I was like, shit, I'll just do it myself. And there's, no competition. So why not?
Dude, you were right on the money with everything you said. I, too, listened to I'm All Ears. And that was hosted by two Fog Whispers. And that one of them guys... one of them co-hosts or them hosts of that show, pretty fairly popular Twitch streamer. So I'm kind of surprised that died the way that did. You're like it right now. There's not really a lot of competition, and even if there was competition, I think there's a big consumer base for people that just want to consume as much DBD content as they can. So, dude, keep it up, man. I'm lucky and thankful I ran across your podcast, and I was pretty much hooked from episode 1 and on. I was like, I like this guy. He's funny. I always enjoy talking to Killer Mains. They crack me up. So I was pretty much immediately drawn to the podcast, and it's just an honor to be able to talk to you, dude, and get to know you a little bit, and especially be a part of this.
Yeah, and that's one of the there were like 2 or 3 things there that you said that like I've got ADHD if you can't tell from the stream. So there's like 12 different things going on, but I think one of the interesting things you said rather, the streamers get big, and then I think maybe it's a bandwidth issue, because especially whenever you have a real life, how do you make content? How do you edit it? How do you post it to all these platforms? How do you do everything you need to do to get enough out there to get big, that's been a struggle for me since the very beginning. I started streaming about 5 years ago, and life has gotten in the way several times. So it feels like as I'm making that climb a little bit, something gets in the way and I have to take a break, and that kills the momentum. I don't know how long you've been doing it, if you could give some of your history and how things have gone for you, and kind of how do you balance streaming in real life?
I too have kind of run across some of those barriers, as you just mentioned, and I've also been streaming on Twitch on and off for honestly what feels to be around that same time frame. Maybe around 2019 or so. It kind of seems like that's kind of when I started streaming. I would go on streaks where I'd stream for several months and things would be going good, gain a couple of followers, and then I'd find myself wanting to take a break here and there. Life, especially dudes around our age, life, we definitely have priorities, and life definitely comes up. And for me, again, I haven't really been into the YouTube scene. I am with another buddy, but it's a totally different content. It's about magnet fishing. For me,
whoa. Stop there. You said magnet fishing?
Magnet, and I don't even know are we recording right now, by the way?
Yes. Is this a real thing? Can we talk about magnet fishing? Is it like legit? What is magnet fishing? I need to know what it is. I don't need to know the channel that you're magnet fishing with. I'm just curious.
Magnet fishing is exactly as it sounds. You have a magnet and it's tied to a rope, and you just you go into creek beds. Honestly, you go wherever you want to go, and you throw the magnet, reel it back in. You would be amazed at what you will catch out of creeks and out of backwaters, out of channels or whatnot. Me and my friend, we have found knives. One of my very first catches was a desktop computer.
What the fuck, man? Are you kidding me? Okay, so it's kind of like metal detectors, like how people go on a beach with a metal detector. You're doing the same thing then.
Exactly, except it's just you're throwing the magnet out in the water. Yes, exactly. Super fun, very therapeutic. It's funny just to see. And me and him both had this mutual agreement. Like, in the event we were to find a gun, a rifle, a pistol of any kind, that we actually had contacted the local authorities in his area. And we actually said, hey, if we find a gun, do you want us to call it in? And they said, yes, go ahead and give us a call if you find a gun. So we was like, bet, okay, got you.
Good Lord. So, oh my God, this is new to me. I have never heard of this. And I would assume there's a YouTube community, and there's probably a subreddit for magnet fishing, and like all the different, there's gotta be a huge community. Am I wrong?
Oh yeah, I'm sure there is, because we had on our channel had a couple of other magnet fishers, reach out to us, or they would come follow our channel. Like, there was one guy, like the Arkansas magnet fisher. There was some dudes from Florida that followed us, and they have a cool channel. The guy from Arkansas has a cool channel. It's definitely much like we are over here on Dead by Daylight. The magnet fishing, that's a whole nother community. It's very fun. I would highly recommend anybody to try it out sometime.
Oh my God, dude, I'm on the subreddit for magnet fishing. There's a guy in downtown Chicago, like in the river. I don't know if you've been to Chicago, but there's that river that runs straight through it. He's like in a little kayak, just straight up magnet fishing. And by the way, I'm scrolling down. Somebody has a revolver that they found. This is insane, man.
truly, when I say the sky is the limit to like what you will find, the possibilities of what you could catch something very valuable. You could get someone's cell phone. I think probably, to go ahead and go on record here, our best catch we've had was somebody else's magnet, where somebody else was magnet fishing.
Good Lord, that's Inception. That's magnet fishing Inception right there. That's crazy. Hey, by the way, looking on the, I'm now like entrenched, you know, like a Wikipedia rabbit hole where you're reading everything. A couple of people have said they found bombs in the bottom. And that reminds me, my first job out of college, I worked for a research company, and we worked with the Corps of Engineers on cleanup of defense sites. And a lot of them were air bases where they would drop bombs and like test runs, and the bombs would like go so far underground that like 20 years later they build a neighborhood, and so you've just got house after house after house, and all of a sudden these bombs like come up through the ground, I guess from like water and erosion or something. So you have a bomb come up, and then they had to call in the Corps to like take the bomb and fucking detonate it. But these guys are just pulling them out of the water.
Dude, it's insane. And I've seen videos of people like catching hand grenades from way back when, and they they legitimately call bomb squad, and that's good. I'm glad that, hey, take those precautions, and especially in the event me and him both had the mutual agreement, like in the event we were to catch a Glock, a rifle, like treat it with the utmost respect and be careful with it, because you never know, it could be loaded. And you definitely inform the local authorities about that. I've noticed that's kind of a trend amongst a lot of the big magnet fishers, is if they find any kind of weapon, they typically call that in, because you never know what that could be tied to.
And you can get a 2,600 pound double-sided magnet fishing kit right now at Amazon for $84. I don't know if that's any good. I don't know if 2,600 pound is good. I assume that's what it can pull. Like, I don't know.
That's correct. If memory serves me right, I think mine is like 1,200. So that one you just described is actually double the strength of mine, and mine does really well. So I would imagine, I think like the strongest they come is somewhere like 3,800. My buddy has a 3,800 magnet, and that thing, if it latches onto something, you better hope you don't latch onto like a sunken boat at the bottom of the river or the lake, wherever you're fishing, because you're gonna have a hard time pulling that thing off of whatever it latches onto. It's that strong.
Holy shit. So what if it gets on you? Like you're wearing a belt or something and it sticks. Are you just done? You have to get a new belt or something? I mean, what would you even do?
You could kind of pull it at certain angles that'll help it, detach easier. That's typically what we do. But there was one instance where he was using his 38-pound magnet. It was attached to something huge at the bottom, and we tied it up to his truck bed, and we had to yank that sucker off.
Holy shit. Well, that's amazing. I've learned a totally new hobby. Where I come from, we didn't do like magnet. I thought you were fishing for fish, because in Oklahoma, we had something called hand fishing, where you would you would stick your arm or leg in a hole and the fish would bite it and then you would pull it out. I thought it was something like that, but with magnets. But dude, this is totally different. I was not expecting this.
I tip my hat to those people, because I've heard of that. I don't know if that's a Southern thing, but I've heard that around here called noodling, and it's precisely what you said. You'll stick your hand in a hole. God knows what's about to bite you. You hope it's a catfish, and if it's that catfish bites you and you just pull that sucker right up, you just hope it's not a snake or a snapping turtle. I tip my hat to those people.
Shit, that just reminded me, there was a reality show that was filmed in Tulsa, or not in Tulsa, where I'm from Tulsa, but this one was in like central Oklahoma in the middle of nowhere. It was called Hillbilly Hand Fishing, and it was a reality show where they brought these people from all over the country, like city slickers, and they taught them how to like hand fish, and one of the guys who taught them only had like 3 teeth. So it was like these dudes from from Chicago, like these buff like police officers like crying as this like catfish is like biting on their foot. It's hilarious, and I think it's out of like, you know, it's not active anymore, so I may be able to pull it up on YouTube just for fun in one of my future streams.
That's incredible. Yeah, and it's getting that time, honestly, where we'll be able to, me and my wife and me and my buddies will start doing some regular fishing here soon. And I have no doubts we'll get in on the magnet fishing scene here very soon. What we found the most of in his area where we do the magnet fishing, this is a little scary that this is what we find a lot of. We think it's people just target practicing, like just out shooting clay birds or whatever, but we find a lot of pistol shells and a lot of shotgun shells is what we pull up out of those beds. So, yeah, wild stuff.
I definitely wouldn't be surprised. I mean, especially, you know, depending on where you are, you know, everybody has guns everywhere and target practice. You know, we went out and shot guns and stuff too, not out the lake, but, you know, it's kind of that general area. And we would also, since we were in Oklahoma, we would always find like Native American arrowheads and stuff like that. I don't know if those wouldn't be metal though, would they? They'd probably be some kind of rock or something like that.
Yeah, my friends are into that too. I have not went arrowhead hunting with them yet. That's pretty, there's a lot of areas, and we actually have a place in Tennessee called Pinson Mounds, and it's just all dedicated to it's just dedicated to the Native Americans that was in this area. And the arrowheads are so cool. The things they have in that museum, the history they have about the Native Americans in this area. It's super cool. That's actually a place I would recommend if anybody comes to Tennessee. You know, check out Pinson Mounds. It's pretty neat. But yeah, I got some buddies that do actually recently went arrowhead hunting. They didn't find anything, but alluding to what you said, no, a metal detector should not pick that up, and nor a magnet.
Yeah, I remembered that like halfway through my statement. I was like, shit, that was pretty stupid. But that's the way most of the stream goes. I about halfway through, I'm like, wow, that's another stupid thing I've said. So getting back on topic, I did not expect magnet fishing to be a big thing, but I wanted to ask you, so what made you decide to start streaming? Was there a certain point? Was there a streamer that you saw? Or did you know, was there something else that you just said, hey, I'm going to try this out?
Dude, great question. And I'm going to be honest. It's actually, it's wild to think that here I am right now, all these years later, and nobody's actually ever asked me that before. So there wasn't no particular streamer I don't recall watching. I've always felt like as PS4, now currently PS5 streamer, I've always been playing behind the 8-ball a little bit when it comes to the stream scene, because unfortunately we are limited, and console streamers can really relate to this, what I'm about to say here. We are unfortunately pretty limited on what we can do. Like, there's a lot of cool sound alerts, you know, we cannot utilize. There's camera options we can't utilize. Not to go too deep into the tech scene, but now you can buy a capture card, and that's actually one of my goals one day, is to get a good PC with a capture card so I can enhance the stream. But it's kind of something I just slowly started doing. Man, I'm really proud. The number I'm about to give probably doesn't mean anything to, you know, a lot of streamers, but it means a lot to me. What? You know, we're almost now at 300 followers over on my channel, and I'm blessed to have that. Especially for kind of what I said earlier, you know, me being just a console streamer, kind of playing behind the 8-ball, you know, with not being able to provide somebody like, hey, thank you for following, you know, I'm a real American brother, you know, like some kind of cool sound alert, you know. Hope to get there one day, though. But it has been a long journey. Little by the success certainly did not, you know, and my success is something totally different, say, from someone that's got 500 people in their chat on a regular basis. And you know, not to paint a picture, not to say something that I'm not. If we have 10 people in my stream on a given night, that's a good night for me. That's a good stream. If we have, you know, 5 to 8 people in my chat, that's a good night for me. Streaming is very much about having a good time, providing as much funny moments and good moments as I possibly can for my community. One of the things I'm proud about of my channel, what I try my best to give back to the people that watches me is, I try to just be a person that has a good attitude always in front of the camera. Try to be informative as I can be, with especially alluding to Dead by Daylight, like what's going on with behavior, patch notes. What does those patch notes say? What things are they doing to the killers? What things are they doing to the survivors? Showing good sportsmanship to, teammates on my team during the active stream, showing good sportsmanship to the opposition, say if they come through the stream. So those are things that I always tell people, like, this is what you get over on my channel. Hopefully it's good vibes. Hopefully it's good information and lots of funny moments for my community to enjoy live on stream.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. And that's just having that the community and that's the key thing. And what's funny about that is that's something I didn't realize at first, because the way I got started was my students actually brought it up whenever I was still teaching. They were like, hey, you need to stream and do this, this Twitch, blah, 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 which I remember when Twitch was Justin TV. It was like a streaming website for shit that, piracy basically. And then so I started into it and all of my students watched me. So I hit affiliate like within a month. It was ridiculously quick. I averaged like 20 something viewers a stream. And then all of a sudden life got in the way. I got a new job. I left teaching during COVID. I was busy all the time, so I couldn't stream. You come back 6 months later, everybody's gone their own way. Build up a little bit more, started a master's program, boom, too busy. And then so, we're kind of back after all these starts and stops, and this is kind of, I'm in now. But the thing is, I didn't appreciate it at the time that whenever we're small, like you and me, you have 5 people, that means something. And those 5 people, you probably have made relationships through streaming. And these people are kind of like your friends, they come in, what's going on in their life. They know kind of what's going on in yours. And, if we get big enough, if we are Ots Darva level, that chat is going to be kind of I don't want to say meaningless, but it's just going to be a wall of text and you may recognize 1 or 2 names.
Hey, that's again, like me and you've talked about, both of us, right now, small communities. For me, 10 people in chat, that's a good night. Very appreciative of everybody in there. And I always tell my people, like, don't never feel obligated to be here. Don't never feel obligated to donate or nothing like that. Like, you just being here and you chatting, having a good time with me, that means so much to me, and it's more than enough for me.
Yeah, totally.
People like you mentioned, like Ots Darva and all them, which, by the way, I'm a fan. Love Ots Darva.
Oh, yeah.
It's cool how it's kind of wild to me how they manage that many people in their chat. I'm sure there comes a point where after you probably start getting so many people in chat, like you have to start having moderators that's always going to be there, that's helping you, literally filter out people. If they probably point out messages to you of interest, and that's honestly a road I don't even know nothing about that yet, but I admire them, and that's cool that they handle that as professionally as they can.
Yeah, and I mean, that's the thing. I don't know if you remember, you probably do, whenever that Twitch leak happened that showed the amount of money everybody was making, like the top 25, top 50 streamers. I mean, whenever you're making that much money, you can literally hire an entire team, even somebody at his level. And I'm not going to give the figure here, but I mean, like Dr. Disrespect, he's huge on YouTube. He's got teams, he has a studio set up. So I think, for us, we're doing what we can. We don't have those resources, but every viewer kind of means something and every follower means something. So to me, that's kind of a more special thing. And I would rather have 20 average viewers that I'm kind of close with, then maybe 500 that I'm not. And that's kind of a shift in my perspective, you know?
Yeah, I get where you're coming from there. Take what I say with a grain of salt, because again, I don't know what it's like to have that big of a community and have that many active people in the chat. You was talking about earlier at the beginning of this recording. How do I manage this? How do I manage that? I feel like a lot of like them guys we was kind of discussing and talking about, you get to a point where, like you said, a team, you just hire people. Hey, this cool moment happened in this game. You literally have a guy that just captures that moment and is actively getting the YouTube video ready or actively getting the TikTok ready. You know, that probably helps a lot of them guys and gals with their time management. But I wouldn't know for sure. Again, take me with a grain of salt when I say that.
No, you're 100% right, and some of them have talked about this. Like, what's the girl's name, the woman's name who's big on Twitch? I think she just recently quit. Pokimane. She talked about her team of editors and videographers and photographers and stuff. But I will tell you, talking about like resources, I think AI is going to change the game on this, because there are now AI tools that will analyze your stream, and there's one for Dead by Daylight that will check out emotional moments in your stream. It'll check out chases, escapes, hooks, kills, and things like that, and clip those up for you. And then you can, you know, edit those however you want and post them to your socials.
Yeah, that's give that a few years to marinate. I agree totally with what you said. That's going to change the game, AI.
Well, yeah, and there's one good channel. It's Trump versus Biden AI. I don't know if you've seen this, but it's just a 24-hour debate between the two, and they've taken off all the AI safeguards. So it's vulgar, you motherfucker, this and that, and they answer and insult the people who comment in the Twitch chat, like, you dumb son of a bitch. It is hilarious, but it's all AI. And how they did it, I don't know, but it's amazing.
That's probably a hoot to watch.
That one and the Jesus one, where people ask Jesus questions. I don't know if you've seen that one. That one's also pretty interesting.
No, I have not seen any of these, but I may have to go check that out.
No, and who knows where it's going to go. But okay, so let's switch to like what we're supposed to be talking about, Dead by Daylight. So I remember whenever you had emailed me and whenever you had come into the channel, you know, we were talking about Deathslinger was your guy. And you, I think you said that you kind of lean more toward killer, although I could be wrong on that. So give me kind of your Dead by Daylight. Like, did you always play Deathslinger? Did you always play killer or survivor, or have you kind of, you know, jumped around? Like what's your DBD journey been like?
Man, another really good question. This first thing I'm about to say took a little bit of research. I actually I have approximately, keyword there, approximately been playing Dead by Daylight since August of 2018. Where I got that kind of specific date and year was I looked up, when did Dead by Daylight become free to PlayStation players? And because I remember years ago taking advantage of it on the game of the month when it became free, and literally been playing Dead by Daylight on and off. I take my breaks. I've certainly in that time frame had my breaks. Some been longer than others, but I was, again, kind of alluding to the email. I'm coming on right now. I'm closing in on about 2,000 hours in the game. That is not exclusively to killer or survivor or a certain killer. That is pretty even and split across the board from survivor to killer. That is one of another things that I kind of try to bring to the table over on my channel. You know, I kind of try to be, I'm always telling my community I try to be as balanced as I possibly can.
Well, see, there's your problem right there. I got to stop you. There's your problem. The balance is just, that's not where you're supposed to be. You're on the fence. You need to jump to one side or the other.
So others have definitely said it by chat too. Like all right, now, Old Town, listen here. You're not doing us killers. You're not doing us justice.
Good. It's not the killers, man. It's the fucking survivors, man. I don't know how you can even associate with them. I'm sorry. I'm going back on my toxic rant here about the survivors.
Trust me. I understand. The survivors can definitely be frustrating. I have experienced them firsthand on my channel. I've experienced them coming into chat and getting mad at things. You kind of actually just sit there and scratch your head. It's like, they're mad about this right now? They're really actually mad about this right now? I've had it the other way around. I've actually had killers come in my chat frustrated, with me being the survivor. But kind of getting back on this, he was talking about Deathslinger. Deathslinger is the guy. He has been my main for a couple of months now. It's hard to put a number on how much playtime do I actually have on Deathslinger. But the best I can tell you is it's been a couple of months. I was kind of looking for a main. I mained Trapper for a little while. I mained Hellraiser for a little while, and I love those killers, and they are a part of my killer pool. Started playing Deathslinger, and it's so funny that I ended up maining him because my first couple of games, I was like, I do not like this killer. And I kind of had this idea in my head that anything that he can do, Huntress just does it better.
Right. Yeah, I can see that.
And from some certain points of view, that's true. Huntress does, in some case, does it better. Especially since she got the buffs recently. That's a whole nother conversation for either later on in the show or another episode in general. But Deathslinger, I could probably write you a 8 to 10 page paper on Deathslinger. When you sign up for Deathslinger, you kind of sign up for trouble a little bit in a way. He can be a very rewarding killer to play. Deathslinger, I feel, in my anecdotal experience, Deathslinger is a pretty respected killer amongst the DVD community. People don't...
Yeah.
People can be like, dude, you're a really good shot. Or, dude, the people might say, I can't believe you hit that shot. And I would honestly go to say that's a lot of, if anybody that listens to this would actually consider, maybe maining Deathslinger or, picking him up and playing him more, that kind of is that's where the dopamine is with him. And that's my fun, is hitting the difficult shots, hitting the shots that the survivors are not expecting you to hit. And that also comes with the growth and the journey with him. It takes time and practice and practice and practice. Missing the shot, missing the shot, missing the shot. Lose, and lose again. That's not appealing to a lot of people, and that may be why you don't see him as much in your public matches as you do. But if you are willing to... Go ahead.
Oh, no, yeah, I would totally agree, because he's one of those that are the high risk, high reward, and the play of the survivors. I mean, really, it seems like more than anything, you're either going to get 3 or 4 kills or you're going to get 0. It seems to me there's very little in between with him and a couple other killers.
Yeah, I can see that. And I've said this to my community before. This is just mostly just kind of how I feel and my opinion about it. I would rather get a 2K, but hit really good shots in that match than get a 4K, but I did not utilize Deathslinger as he's meant to be played. With Deathslinger, you must take shots. If you're treating Deathslinger like an M1 killer, I've got bad news for you. Maybe in the beginning, when you start playing him in the lower MMR, you can get away with it. As time goes, as you start winning matches, you will start playing survivors. They're going to take advantage of your 4.4 speed. And if anybody listening doesn't quite understand what I mean by that, Deathslinger moves at 4.4. It's like meters per second or so and so. But say a killer like the Trapper, the Oni, the new killer that we got recently, the Unknown, they move at 4.6 meters. They literally walk faster than Deathslinger does. You would be amazed, and you feel it so much when you go from a 4.6 speed killer to a 4.4 speed killer.
Oh yeah.
Survivors know this. And again, talking about it, all he's got is that gun. If you are not using that gun, they will eat you alive in your matches. Now, I want to say this real quick. I kind of, in some of my notes I took, I can sort of tell I was coming from a little bit of I don't know if a sassy place is the word. I took a couple, I've been kind of taking some L's on Slinger lately. And I could tell, when I was taking these notes. But I wrote these notes, and for your community and for your listeners to kind of enjoy, maybe they'll take something from this. So I wrote.
Won't. My viewers or listeners are idiots. They're not gonna. You're talking straight to me here because they don't. It's all gonna fly over their head. We're talking actual educational stuff here. So you could just give it straight to me, not to them.
This is kind of a part of the Deathslinger journey that I wrote down. If you want to go to a place where you just simply dominate the survivors game after game, the place to go is Nurse, Blight, and Spirit. And this is true. Those, typically for years now have been your top performing killers. Deathslinger players have to calculate how far is the survivor? What angle are they running? Do they flick? Do they not flick? Do they W key? Do they duck down? Hey, can I shoot and get the hit around this loop? Is the loop too long? Where is the collision? Do these survivors try to break line of sight? Am I on a map where they can break line of sight easily? Can I shoot through this hole on this map? So it works here, but it doesn't work on this map. Can I shoot that through that hole on that map? So, again, a lot of that it comes down to practice with Deathslinger. You think of killers kind of like Hellraiser. Hellraiser has one of the strongest passives in the game. If you just sit there and you spawned into the trial and you just laid your controller down and you just stared at your camera at the chat, or you just stared at the screen, eventually one of those survivors would have to get off that generator and they would have to go get that box.
Right,
it's
exactly.
One of the best passes in the game. The new killer we have recently, the Unknown, he has a pretty cool passive where he will. I did this specifically for your podcast and for this moment. Kind of went into custom games, been doing some testing with the Unknown. He will, if you don't do anything, he will spawn a hallucination about every 45 seconds, and he will spawn that hallucination where you are standing. So, but back to Deathslinger, he doesn't have any other passives going for him. And oddly enough, take me, to all the community that will listen to this, take me with a grain of salt when I say this. I think I'm accurate on this. He's one of the range killers that has not been touched in a while.
I don't believe so. No, I would agree. I don't think there's been any large scale changes to him at all.
Yeah, I don't want to sit here and say behaviors forgot about it, because he has recently gotten some really cool cosmetics. They dedicated this tomb we are in as of this recording right now. Half of this tomb in the archives is dedicated to Deathslinger. We have new lore on Deathslinger. We have new cosmetics in the rip. Very proud of that. Very cool. They look good. But as far as quality of life changes and updates to him, obviously we all know the elephant in the room. Huntress got some big buffs recently.
I think those are going to be reversed here before long. I think there's going to be an outcry, and they'll probably have to roll back a little bit of that, if not more.
I know probably the people, and I know you are all in on Killer in the Killer community. I'm going to pause just for a moment and put my Survivor hat on. When I read those patch notes, I was actually a little concerned. I was like, oh man, they're giving her base kit 7 hatchets. They're increasing her wind-up speed, and they're increasing the speed at which she walks while a hatchet is raised. They ended up dialing that back, but the 7 hatchets made it into the game, and I think that increased wind-up speed made it into the live game as well. It's hard to say. It's so early. I actually have not went up against a Huntress since my Survivor matches, so it's sort of hard to gauge, was it overtuned? Is it not overtuned? But I was like, wow, like she really actually did get some, not for better or worse, she really did get some nice buffs. But they gave Trickster, they gave him a little bit of a rework a couple of months ago. So yeah, and now we got another ranged killer. We got the Unknown now. So Deathslinger, he hasn't, it doesn't seem like he's had any love in a while. And I would want to be led to believe if behavior would be willing to give Huntress the buffs that she received, when a lot of people, including Huntress mains, in my, again, anecdotal experience that I saw through YouTube and whatnot, and what people were saying, a lot of people were surprised that, wow, I can't believe they're actually doing, like, not really saying it bad, just a lot of people's kind of, wow, Huntress is getting buffs. Who saw that one coming?
Right. And I'm looking here on Nightlight, which is obviously not the be all end all. But if we're looking up to today for the past 30 days, which I know the buffs kind of came part of the way through, Huntress actually has the 3rd highest kill rate of all the killers. Actually, I could be wrong on that. That's pick rate. She's the 3rd most picked. Okay, so as of kill rate, oh wow. Actually, she might be a little bit lower. One sec. You think it would have it ready, but nope. She is down. Yeah, she is way down here. She's at a 54.3% kill rate, whereas the lowest is Singularity with 50. And get this, Deathslinger is second from the bottom in the past month. Second from the bottom in kill rate in over 2,000 games. Only has a 51% kill rate.
Hey, dude. A little piece of me died when you said that, but I feel that. Deathslinger, us Deathslingers, I really do. We're kind of playing behind the 8 ball right now. Survivors in 2024, survivors are smart, man. Hot take coming in. I am of the opinion, and I have been pretty open about this, and I say this all the time in my streams. I really don't know why survivors are mad, frustrated, and complain. I guess they're just going to complain anyway. I am of the opinion, I think survivors are eating pretty good right now. I really do. We have...
They are, dude, they are so obese from all the food they've been given. They are formless masses of flesh and flab from all the food, and we are starving here with nothing. I am in the soup line right now waiting for a buff to dredge or give me something on, like, I don't know, something. Give me some Demogorgon stuff or buff Oni just a little bit, please. They just you give the killers a tiny bit and it's the end of the world. It just blows me away. But that's been the name of the game for I don't know how long.
It definitely has been the name of the game for quite a while now. And I actually told someone in chat one time, I was like, let's just take this moment. Let's just pause. Like, let's just break it down. thing, section by section, like things survivors have now. Survivors have the HUD. I think that is one of the most powerful things survivors recently got. That's so much information, knowing that, hey, like, I'm in chase right now, but I see that my 3 teammates, they're on generators right now. Or I see that one of my other teammates is healing one of the others right now. The HUD, very strong tool for survivors. Survivors now have a base kit, borrowed time. You know, when a survivor is unhooked, they have borrowed time, or I believe it's called endurance, for 10 seconds. So, you know, kind of a little bit of some base kit, you know, anti-tunnel going on. Now,
do you remember, I believe on the test server, they were testing base kit unbreakable, where they could pull themselves up after a certain amount of time to like prevent slugging from being a thing, which they didn't actually implement. But correct me if I'm wrong, I think that was on the test server at one point.
You are 100% correct. No, a lot of my friends community, they're gonna come in, they're gonna listen to this, and they're gonna my survivor base in my community is gonna be like, oh, come on now, old town, when I say this.
I knew I would convert you, though. That's what I do. I am a preacher for the Killer Mains. I'm the bishop. I'm the archbishop.
I feel, and I think behavior ultimately deemed it too. There's a lot of survivor mains, a lot of them wanting that base kit unbreakable. Behavior at that time, I mean, you got to think, right? They ultimately deemed it too much. Or I feel like by now we would have it in the game. I am of the opinion, I'm going to put my killer hat on. I am of the opinion, as of this recording right here in this moment now, I would be concerned if we ever got base kit unbreakable for survivors. I feel like that the killers would lose so much of their pressure. And I don't know, teacher. That's a tough one. I feel like it would really, it depends on how hot behavior made it. Like, how fast can they recover from the dying state? Would they treat it like around the speed of unbreakable? Would they make it longer? You know, make that timer longer. I feel like with a lot of the things they have right now, which is good, strong things, we didn't even talk about. Now survivors have anti-camp. So, you know, that, you know, that all the Bubba players cried. Probably, you know, there was a little tear that was shed that day when they implemented anti-camp. But
well, I want to jump on anti-camp because I just recorded the next episode, and I bring that up, or maybe it was in a previous episode. I think it might have been in the one that didn't air because of my microphone problem. But the fact is, it's not an anti-face camping, or it is an anti-face camping perk. It's not an anti-camp perk because you could just kind of proxy around, and for some reason survivors don't understand that. It's to prevent the killer from like right there in front. And and what's funny to me is survivor mains keep misusing the system. Like for instance, if I can tell the killer is camping and they are pretty close to the hook, the worst thing you can do is go right up and start a chase because that stops the meter from moving. The better thing to do would be to stay away and let him stick right there and let the meter go all the way up so the person can jump off. I don't know why, at least at the MMR I'm at, I see it over and over again. They run in and it defeats the entire purpose of the meter.
This is true. Yeah, I've experienced that a little bit in my matches as well. I still stand by what as of right now, what my opinion is. I think survivors are eating good. A four-man Swift. I have been a part of that many times. Me and my friend group is so strong against the killer.
Yeah, I mean, some killers have no defense against that. If you think about somebody like Trapper, or I think the Unknown may have some problems. I'm not sure yet. From what I've seen, he's pretty strong, but I think once they get used to it and they can call out the hallucinations and things like that, they can call out when the Unknown teleports. It's going to make it more difficult, I believe.
Yeah, Four-Man Swift is so strong against Trapper. Four-Man Swift is strong against, say, the Hag. There's so much value out of Four-Man Swift. And typically, I don't know about you, teacher, and your experiences, but I can feel when they are a Swift. I can just feel by their movements. I can feel by their decision-making and how fast they react to stuff. Get enough hours in the game, you can, if it already isn't apparent, obvious by their names, by their cosmetics, or whatever, you feel their decision making when you're in match, when you're playing a Swift.
Oh, yeah. And if you see 4 TTVs in the lobby, I mean, it's going to be like, oh, my God. Like, I can't because this one of my biggest pet peeves, and you always hear me talk about it, is people trying to get content off of me. And I don't know why, because I love content, but I will run Lightborn every single match whenever I see a TTV with a flashlight. I do not give a shit.
I love your streams, man, and I've seen when them flashlights come out, you go, hell no!
I'm not doing it, man. Baby. I'm not giving them the content. They are not getting shit off me because they go on. I don't know if you're in the Facebook group, but it's ridiculous because if they stun a killer, they got to post it online. They got to post it on X, Twitter, Insta, everything. Like, it's the biggest thing. This one streamer jumped my shit on the Facebook group because all she did was stun a killer with a pallet. And she was like, oh my God, look what I did. And she's been playing the game for like 7 years. I'm like, dude, like, that is not amazing.
You better believe if they get that flash save on you, it's going on the TikTok.
Oh my God, dude. And there was, in the last stream, there were 4 Twitch, I think it was 3 in another. But I was Oni and I was doing my stealth Oni build and there were 3 of them with flashlights, dude. And I was sweating that whole match because I don't normally get that like into it. I don't know if you do. That's a question for you. Do you still get like where you're like, okay, I'm going to fuck these guys up? But that was the match. For some reason, I said, okay, I'm going to turn this shit on. I'm going to fuck them up. And sure enough, I got the 4K. One of them ended up giving up there toward the end. But yeah, every once in a while, I get that competitive spirit. I don't know. Does that happen to you, or do you get, do you get tilted, I guess is what the kids call it. Do you ever get bent out of shape, or do you ever get the pressure on, like, or are you to the point playing this long, you're like, I don't give a shit?
I'm hearing the things you're saying, and I'm hearing my mind get just kind of. I'm actually literally nodding my head, like, yes, I can relate. I can relate to a lot of the things he's saying, dude. There are times where I, even live on stream, will turn up the gas 100%. And if we've had a couple of bad matches where I took a couple of L's in a row, I'll be like, hey guys, this next group, they're dying. If I'm playing Deathslinger, I will bring out my strongest build I have for Deathslinger. I'll bring out what I deem to be the strongest add-ons for him. I'll be like, guys, we are camping, we are tunneling, we are slugging if we have to. The gloves come off. We are winning this game.
Man, I don't own any gloves because that's all I do is camp and tunnel. Jesus Christ. Hey, by the way, okay, so you mentioned something else here, which is interesting. So do you have a certain build that you like to run on Deathslinger? Are there certain perks, like if you see a Swift, an obvious Swift in the lobby, and you want to fuck them up, what are you going to run?
I like the way you worded the question, because me and you could probably have a whole nother episode and probably a whole nother 30-minute discussion on bully squads. All I'll say real quick is bully play the game long enough, if you see, and this is for all listening, if you've just recently started playing Dead by Daylight, you start playing Killer. If you see the survivors load into your lobby and they all have a similar name, 4 streamers, they're all the same. You see 4 David Kings, you see 4 Fang Mens, you see 4 Megs.
Oh God, that's terrible. I can't handle the 4 fangs, man. I'm sorry, I'm going off topic. She has the most annoying screams of like pain I have ever heard in my life. I can't even play her. I can't play against her. I will tunnel her ass out just to get that sound out of my ears.
I know what you mean. If you see 4 bunny costume Fang Mens in your lobby and they all 4 have a flashlight, buddy, get ready. All I got to say is get ready.
You're not fucking kidding. Or they run, what's the Silent Hill? I can't even remember her name. The girl from Silent Hill, the character with the bunny. Doesn't she have a bunny costume also, or like some kind of weird anime bullshit costume? You know what I'm talking about?
I do. I believe it's Cheryl.
Yeah, that's Cheryl. Yeah, she got that shitty ass costume. People always run that too, and it's fucking like, I don't know. You're starting to get my blood boiling. But anyway, go back. So you see 4 Fang bunny costumes. You say this shit cannot stand in my house on my stream. What are you gonna do?
I see the 4 bunny Fang Mens with the 4 flashlights pop up. Here's what I'm bringing to the table. So as Deathslinger, I'm going to be bringing the 2 add-ons. I'll be bringing Warden Keys and Modified Ammo Belt. What those 2 add-ons do is they decrease the Redeemer's reload time by X amount. You can almost, if you're running both of those add-ons, if you're comboing them, you can almost get it to a whole less second of reload. So needless to say, saying it in simple terms, Warden Keys, Modified Ammo Belt is Deathslinger's fastest reload add-ons. As for my perks, I bring Agitation, Coup de Grace.
Coup de grace. It's French, and we don't like the French in my stream, so you can call it whatever the fuck you want.
I also catch myself also in my streams sometimes calling it coup de grace. So we kind of, not really sure what the best pronunciation is for it. Scourge Hook, Pain Resonance, and Surge. I'm still to this day I'm going to be honest, to a fault. I sometimes play too nice on Killer, and to a fault, I sometimes use. I don't bring strong enough perks. But when I really get in that competitive, kind of like you were talking about, getting in that really competitive mode, I do get there sometimes. Sometimes even on my streams, I literally tell my people, hey, I'm literally in a competitive mode today. I want to win for you guys. Some days I'm more like, hey, if they win, they win. If we lose, we lose. Let's get in here. Let's have fun. And let's see if we can learn some things today or whatever. But yeah, I feel like with Scourge Hook Pain Resonance, I typically always have Agitation with it, because sometimes for me it feels like more so than not, those Scourge Hook spawns are not where you need them to be. It's like if you get, say, Survivor down here, the Scourge Hooks are on the complete other side of the map and you can't utilize the perk. So I bring Agitation kind of as some, helps me. It's honestly kind of an anti-bully perk too. Bully squads have a difficult time controlling a killer that's using Agitation, because they can outrun a lot of their Sabo plays, or their Sabo plays won't work as easily on you, say if you didn't have it. I primarily run it so I can secure the Pain Res hook by running Agitation. Now, Coup de Grace, that one for me is a niche one. I have actually kind of had some Deathslinger players disagree with me a little bit on this one. But for me, it makes for a fun time. You can, you can get hits on survivors around loops that you probably, like if you shoot them and you're trying to reel them in, and but say it's a long loop with coup de grace, if you have the stats, you can sometimes get really cool hits that you normally would not have been able to get on them. Or say you get a really long shot, which by the way, Deathslinger shoots at a max range at about 18 meters. That's about as far as that gun will shoot. And if you hit an 18-meter shot, pat yourself on the back. That's a hard shot to pull off. Sometimes when you pull off a shot like that, they'll use collision. They'll use it could be anything, a tree, a wall, a window. They'll use anything to try to stop themselves from getting to you. Coup de grace can sometimes, right before they're about to break that chain, you can lunge forward real far and you can secure that down.
Right, exactly. I didn't even think about coup working in that way. That's pretty interesting, because you can, like on some of those smaller loops, if you can spear them and then kind of try to move around the edge of the loop when they're on the other side, you could probably get a lot of good hits with coup that way, I would think.
Yes. You can. I know you enjoy playing Deathslinger sometimes, so I would really encourage you, check it out sometime. It's niche. Is it the most optimal thing? Probably not. Is it a blast? Absolutely, it is, and it will make good content for your channel. And the last, as I said, Surge for Gen Defense. If you're probably playing a super sweaty match, or you're about to go against a super sweaty team, maybe you recognize the person you're about to play, maybe it's another content creator, or you just have that feeling in the bottom of your gut, this is about to be a really difficult match. And I even see this at the higher levels, because at the higher levels they know how good survivors can be. They know how efficient survivors can be on generators. They'll bring, honestly, 3 gen slowdown perks.
Yeah, and that's in the podcast that's gonna push on Tuesday. There was a forum post about that, like gen slowdowns and people running 4 gen slowdown perks, and somebody was critical of that because they were saying, well, you should play to whatever the killer, whatever the killer's power is. But the problem with that, in my opinion, they're saying, well, you're running 4 gen slowdown perks, you get up to a certain MMR and it no longer works, and then you're complaining about playing killer. But the thing is that, we're to the point where gen slowdown perks, they can get gens done so fast now that if you're not for more competitive squads, if you're not running a lot of gen slowdowns, you don't stand a chance.
Dude, I'm going to throw some numbers at you. It takes one person 90 seconds to do a generator. Now, keep in mind, everybody, when I say this is not including Deja Vu, Prove Thyself, toolkits, brand new bars. This is not talking about that. One survivor can do a generator in 90 seconds. 2 survivors can do a generator in 52 seconds. 3 survivors can do a generator in 42 seconds. 4 survivors can do a generator in around 40 seconds. Survivors can literally pop 5 generators in a 5 to 6 minute time frame if they're being that efficient, and you as the killer are not providing enough pressure. This is DBD teacher. This is DBD 2024. Survivors, they're learning where those gen spawns are, particularly on certain maps like Area of Crows, Haddonfield. There's not a lot of, there's next to no variation on Area of Crows. Perhaps some tower spawns, but as far as generator spawns, they know on Area of Crows where those gens are. They know on Haddonfield where those generators are, and there's more that that's not kind of on the fly coming to my mind right now. But you sit there and wonder at the high level, like why you see some killers going pretty heavy on the gen regression, that's because survivors, they can juice those gens, man. I've felt it firsthand, and I've had some pretty disappointing games where, I kind of sit there and it was live on stream, and I kind of leaned back in my chair, and I was kind of like, you could the gears were turning in my head. I'm like, man, I performed well in that game. I made good shots in that game, and I got a lot of hook stages in that game, but they worked faster than me. They cranked those gens so fast, and I just couldn't keep up with it.
Well, in that, I mean, that's an excellent point, because as Deathslinger, think about this, you can miss in your first chase, if you miss 2 shots, let's say you're practicing, you miss 2 shots, you take, let's say you take 45 seconds on a chase, which you shouldn't, but maybe against a good survivor you would. If you got 2 people on 2 gens each, you're down to 3 gens like that, or let's say you have 2 people on one and one on the other. They have a gen and a half done before you even get a hit. If you miss 2 shots, it's just, you can't make mistakes as a killer like you can with Survivor. In the game, the flow of the match depends upon the killer. It doesn't depend upon the survivors. There's more pressure there on you, and that's why I'm always complaining, because they act like playing the Survivor is so difficult. That's bullshit, man. I'm sorry, you don't have to agree. I know you got Survivor mains that like you, so you don't have to alienate them all right here.
I definitely also do partake in playing Survivor, but I will be one of the first to stand up and say playing killer much more difficult than playing Survivor.
Yeah, I mean,
in my humble opinion, playing killer, the pressure is on so much more. You've got to micromanage a lot. You got to think about a lot more things. In my humble opinion, playing killer much more difficult than playing Survivor.
I would agree. In Deathslinger 2, and I want to go back to Deathslinger for a second. The thing that got me, there's 2 points I want to make here. The thing that got me better at Deathslinger was realizing how the spear travels through the air. And that was something that really held me back, because I was like, well, you just point at him and shoot. But whenever you realize like the travel time, you have to lead his shots a lot more than you might have to in other shooters. And once I kind of got that, it clicked, and I started making a lot more shots that way, because you always have to lead. And if they're far away, you got to lead it, even more. But that just makes it that much better whenever you nail that shot and you weren't even like necessarily aiming at the person. I mean, it's amazing.
Dude, very well said, teacher. And kind of like I was alluding to earlier, he is a journey, Deathslinger. He's not immediate success. A lot of practicing. Be prepared to lose, and lose again with Deathslingers. I am of the opinion he's one of the killers right now, kind of playing behind the 8 ball a little bit. We talked about this. He really hasn't had any major updates in quite some time. Certainly no buffs in quite some time. And so every shot truly matters. And the thing people has figured out, especially when you hit a certain MMR with Deathslinger, survivors, they start dodging those projectiles really easy. Like if you take a shot from 12 meters and on, you wouldn't think that they could react that fast to it, but you would be surprised how well survivors, about a 12 shot meter and on, you would be surprised at how quick they can react and flip one way or the other. So that's something.
You're not kidding, dude.
That is a whole nother obstacle that Deathslinger has to worry about. That's a lot of other killers don't have to worry. That you have to gauge the survivors as you're playing. Kind of like I said, do they flip? Do they duck? Are they W keyers? Do they just hold forward and never look back? You have to really watch them as Deathslinger, and you have to track their movements. And Deathslinger 101.
You only get like 2 chances. If they're on gens the whole time, like I said, you miss 2 shots, 1 gen's gone, but you don't get that time a lot of time to understand if this person's doing this or this person's doing that. You know, a lot of matches could go that if the survivors are fast enough, the match goes by and there may be a survivor you never saw the entire match.
I can very much relate to that. There's been matches where, you know, I've been so tied up in so-and-so just trying to get a down or whatever, or maybe the survivors are being really altruistic and I just see them the whole time. I never even saw the Dwight doing the generators.
No, because that's all he was doing the whole time. He'd get in a locker until you left and he'd get back on the gen. Like, in that right there is a excellent point, is that if there is one survivor that is all they do is work on gens, and most of the games that you win easily are the fact that somebody gets hooked and all 3 survivors just bum rush the hook. But if there's one person that just stays on gens the entire match, it's going to be a challenge. If there are 2 that stay on gens the whole time and they know how to manage that economy, you know, that hey, I don't have any kills, so I'm going to be the one to go do the unhook, or hey, I'm uninjured, I'll go do the unhook. Like, that adds a layer of difficulty that survivors don't have that same thing. But yeah, I mean, it can lead to a lot of frustration. I mean, because you can't make a lot of mistakes with Deathslinger.
You can't make there's not a lot of room for errors, Deathslinger, and we was kind of talking about earlier those time frames. You know, let's say, you know, I said it takes one person, not just one survivor on a brand new generator, about 90 seconds to do that generator. Let's say you start the trial. Let's say it takes you anywhere from, I don't know, 15 to 30 seconds to find a survivor. Okay, you find the Dwight. Dwight takes you to Killer Shack. Dwight holds you in chase for 60 seconds.
Yeah.
70 seconds, maybe. Before you know it, bing, bing. Before you can say, oops, you've lost 2 generators and you're down to 3 generators. And when sometimes it's so hard to gauge what MMR I'm in. Again, MMR, that's, me and you could probably talk MMR for a whole nother 30 minutes on a whole nother episode. But
I mentioned that in the episode coming out on Tuesday. It's funny. It's like you're reading my mind. Is all these people that say they're high MMR, and there's one particular streamer that I won't name, but every single fucking stream it says top MMR on it, and that annoys the shit out of me, because how do you even know?
How do you even know? That's that's kind of what I've always wondered. Unless there's people, they know something that I don't know. Yeah, anyways, MMR, that's a whole nother can of worms. For me, I feel like I'm in the middle. I feel like and I think that is a thing. There is like a above average, but kind of in the middle MMR. That's kind of where I feel I am as Deathslinger. And I've kind of just gotten used to losing 2 generators. Even if I have a relatively fast first chase and down hook, I still lose 2 generators. I've kind of just grown accustomed to it. I've kind of programmed my mind like, okay, I've got 3 gens to work with. I've got to hold this side of the map because I'm 4.4 Deathslinger. I don't have time to chase Nia Carlson over here on this map because they're pressuring gens all the way. You got to really manage that when you're 4.4. That goes for Huntress, that goes for Deathslinger. That's a whole nother barrier in of itself. You've got to manage that. But I really have. I don't know how you feel about that, teacher, but I've just kind of gotten used to, even if I have a pretty good chase that ends pretty quickly off the pop, I still lose 1 generator, 2 generators, maybe.
Yeah, and that's certain killers. You know, what's funny is I'm gonna say this and then switch to another point. Certain killers, you get your first down, you don't want to hook. You want to go straight to the next. Oni being a good example of that. If you get the down, a lot of times you don't take the hook. You need to put that pressure on and keep it on. But the other point I wanted to get to, you know, you were talking about your favorite build. My favorite build with Deathslinger is a combination. These are the perks, you know, I run them with a lot, is, you know, run something like Trail of Torment that'll give you undetectable, or now Unforeseen with the unknown. You kick a gen, you become undetectable for 30 seconds. Run that. Also run Nurse's Calling with that, to where you can see if they're healing. It's amazing whenever they don't know you're there and they're healing and you hit that shot from like 12, 15, 18 meters, they will call you a cheater, especially if you have the iridescent coin to where they're exposed if you hit them from more than 12 meters. It is a glorious feeling. And if you can do that, after the exit gates are powered or open, oh my God, dude, it's the best thing ever. I have that. My best content with him is that.
I love it, man. Music to my ears. Because I just did you with the build. Deathslingers, we're playing behind the 8 ball, man. We're playing this could be a hot take. We're playing a C tier killer, maybe B tier if you're performing at a high level with him. Honestly, probably more on the A tier if you're performing at a high level with him, but that's anecdotal. You know, that's just an opinion. But I love your build, man. I too have a build. Reminds me a lot of what you just said. I call it my silent slinger build. And the perks I run is Monitor and Abuse, Nurse's Calling, Trail of Torment, Hex, Plaything, and I double down and I run the add-ons Gold Creek Whiskey and Marshall Badge. Now what those two add-ons do is this decreases the tear radius by 8 meters and 4 meters to the other while aiming down the Redeemer's sight. If you pair Gold Creek Whiskey and Marshall Badge with Monitor and Abuse, Deathslinger has a 32 meter tear radius. You can get that tear radius down to about 12 meters and you can cause some major confusion amongst the survivors. When they hear your tear radius, they think, okay, he's 32 meters away. He's 25, but reality is, especially if they're healing and you see them when Nurse is calling, you're right up on them and it causes mass confusion, particularly on Leary's. Super fun build.
Yeah. I'll have to try it. I'll try it in the next. I'll see what it's like, and I'll report back. So, yeah, that's exciting, man. That's you know, it's good to get into these killers and kind of you know, dig in. We can dig into some of the other ones. Talk about Trapper. Talk about the unknown. We both been messing with him. But anyway, I am out of time. We've been at this for what, an hour and 15 minutes. So hey, I want to thank you, and can you tell everybody where we can find you if we want to watch and follow and listen and see this Deathslinger action? Where am I going to go?
It's been an honor and a privilege to be a part of this podcast. Thank you so much for having me, man. I really enjoy your content. If anybody would like to come follow me and like to find me over at Twitch, old_town south. Come on by. Let me know you're from the podcast. Let me know maybe if you're from Toxic Teachers community or whatever. Would love to have you over. If you'd like to learn more, again, I said earlier in the podcast that I could probably write an 8 to 10 page paper alone on Deathslinger. I feel like we scratched the surface with Deathslinger with the possibilities and the things to talk about. But again, that is old_town south. Would love to have you guys over on my Twitch.
All right, cool, man. Hey, thank you so much. And it's good to get you on that one side of the fence now. So I think we firmly placed you there. You may lose half of your viewers, but they were Survivor mains anyway, so it doesn't really matter if you lose them, to be honest. So
Through
let's-
the fires, I have been born again.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, the preacher is here, the Pope of Killer Mains. That's probably sacrilegious, but anyway, hey, thank you again for everything, and I gotta run. And hey, let's do this again sometime.
Would love to do this again sometime. Thank you for having me on.
All right, man. Talk to you later.
All right, bye-bye.
Bye. All right, that was our first ever podcast interview with our good friend Old Town South. You can find him on Twitch again at old_Town South. I encourage all of you guys to go to Twitch, look him up, get to know him. He's a great guy. He can tell you all about magna fishing, which was huge to me. Changed my life. I'm going to go find some guns at the bottom of the river and give them to the cops. And you can find me, obviously, at Toxic Teacher TTV on most social media, except for YouTube. You can find me at The Toxic Teacher. Anyway, let's see us out, just like we saw us in, with one of my many new theme songs. Guys, again, I appreciate you so much, especially the Irish. Thank you. Wait, no, I appreciate everybody. That sounded terrible. It sounded like I was putting the Irish on a pedestal, and I'm not doing that. There is no Irish pedestal in my toxic abode. But thank you anyway. My button lagged. The timing was off. Anyway, here you go. New theme song. Get out of here.
There's a new podcast, camping them softly. The Toxic Teacher, he's the host of hosts. It's gonna take over the world and make him money. He's as handsome as he is funny. Toxic Teachers, camping them softly.